right, Nick, excited to chat again as per usual. I think if you actually go through all of the videos, I say excited to chat with you as the starting point for everything. So maybe once we get enough of these, I'll put some montage together of just how excited I am every single time.
And I'm mildly happy to be talking to you, Evan.
Hey, at least you're the honest one. So no, I am excited to talk today, though, just because, we're hearing a lot about LLMs.txt files, and how they are being used, and are they being used at all? Who's using them? What they are, I think is pretty clear, even though we should probably give a good, explanation on that, but how they're actually being used by these different AI systems, and if they're even being used. To me, I'm reading a lot of conflicting information. So I was hoping to get your take on that, hear what you think, see what you're seeing, and just kind of take it from there.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because, the LLMs.txt file, the idea behind that was to create a file on a website that AI can more easily absorb, so that it can go there and you can grab, or it can grab all the information in a way that is going to make it helpful for AI. But it was a concept kind of developed by a marketer, but it was never officially used or declared by the big boys, right? Google or Bing or whatever. But then all of a sudden, even though Google literally came out and said this is not a ranking factor and it's not necessary, they then threw it into their Lighthouse scanner tool that a lot of SEOs use to scan for speed and other things. So it's like they say one thing and then they throw it in something else. But the reality is that the LLMs.txt is not necessary. It's kind of a conceptual precaution, but the problem is that even if you start looking at the data of how many bots are going to the LLMs.txt, like almost there isn't much traffic going to those, so they're not really using them either. But yeah, it's an interesting topic because you'll hear out there, oh, you got to have your LLMs.txt installed on your website or you're not AI ready. That's not true.
Yeah, and not only is it not true, it's almost to a point where it's purposely misleading the actual ways that AI, or misinterpreting, I should say, the actual way that AI work and the way that they crawl, right? And Google is pretty clear in a lot of their messaging for it about how, it doesn't hurt you, but it doesn't help you at all. And I know they added that, which is strange. And maybe those things will change. Maybe they do eventually use it. But to me, it just doesn't make sense why they would and why other systems would, because these crawlers and these AI systems, they're better at interpreting the content than traditional search engines are, at least allegedly, right? That's their whole shtick, if you will, is that they can interpret the content better. So why would they need a special markdown file or anything to interpret the website if they're so much better at it? Google hasn't required anything like that for a long time to be able to understand the website and display, the website for the search engine result pages. It's almost similar to meta keywords. Back when Google, however many decades ago it was, where meta keywords were actually a thing that you wanted.
I think those stopped working in like 06 or something. I don't remember. Yeah.
2 decades ago.
Yeah.
It was when they stopped working.
Yeah, it's kind of a red herring almost. It's just a distraction from the reality, which is you shouldn't be putting your effort into that. You should be putting it somewhere else. And it's really hard to navigate this stuff, Evan, when it's just changing all the time, which is frankly why we put these videos out. I mean, and in our industry, a lot of people like a shiny new object. So, every time there's a shiny new object in digital, people gravitate towards it. So I always worry that they're going to gravitate towards the wrong thing. And this could be one of those things for sure.
And I always say, this is my answer now. If you ask me in 6 months, I might have a completely different answer. But right now, this is the answer. And this is, how things are working. And, the shiny tool that you mentioned, people are always looking for that. I'm seeing that a lot personally with those AI prompt tracking tools.
Mm.
Maybe I'll widen a little bit outside of just the AI prompt tracking, because what I think people are really after is a solution that shows how you're, quote unquote, ranking in AI. How many impressions are you getting from AI? Are you being, recommended from ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all the different AI systems that are out there?
Right. Yeah, and they're thinking keywords, and that's not the way to think about it, because like you said, personalization is, we see that even on the Google side, right? I can't tell you how many times we've had somebody randomly type in some keyword and be like, oh, I don't rank for that, but our systems say they do. And the reason for that is that our systems remove the personalization, that they've been clicking on their competitors a bunch, and now it thinks that they want to see their competitors higher, right? So AI does that too, but even worse, its response will change completely with even the slightest variations. So if I track, audiologist in Boston, as the AI prompt that I want, the next time somebody types in who's the best audiologist in Boston, they're going to get a different answer because it's a slightly different question. The other side is that they constantly update the darn things. So depending on which model you're using, the answer will be completely different. And then when they push out the new model, it'll change again, right? So it is definitely a moving target. And I don't think there is a good solution. What we've been doing is using a combination of internally looking at Google Search Console information, because they came out with the you can actually see the AI traffic you're getting from Google, and then some other tools that kind of give us a broader perspective of what's going on. But there is no way to track effectively like individual phrases or things like that are going to be most important to you. You're not going to get a full picture, frankly, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, you can find a solution that says it's going to track those and you'll get some information, but you really have to take it with a grain of salt, because it's not going to be 100% correct all the time.
Right. And the tracking isn't as effective either, right? Like, if we're doing a Google ad campaign or an SEO campaign, we could see exactly where they are. We could track what happens, in the journey. But that is just kind of nebulous when it comes to AI. What did they do next after that question? Did they go to Google? A lot of studies that we're reading say that most of the commercialization still happens on Google. So they explore, and then they might go to the website, but then then they leave that, and then they come. I mean, it's a whole process, and the visualization on it is not very good.
Yeah. And, I think it's also interesting how, Google has had their big push where the biggest change in search in the last 25 years. That was what we talked about last time.
I mean, the changes are more subtle as you start to do more searches. So, the AI incorporation, I mean, we know they're going to do a slow rollout, right? But it's just another discovery layer, right? And they're trying to figure out how to integrate it directly into search, because search is already an established discovery layer. Like, we kind of understand it a lot more, but they're trying to incorporate kind of a new one that they don't know how people are going to use yet. So they just constantly tweaking it and testing it. I'm sure it'll end up looking quite different as we go. But right now, the other thing too with Google is, I've noticed over the years, is they don't typically want to shock their audience, with massive changes. We have seen it sometimes, but we still have blue links, right? After 20, 26, 30 years now, we still have them there. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it evolves. And as soon as there are tools that give us, actually decent data and good efficacy and visibility on all that, we're going to be using them.
Yeah, and I think it will change personally, just because these different platforms are going to need to show people, and when I say people, I mean, business owners, publishers, whoever has a website, how effective, they actually are at some of these in order to monetize it.
That's where I was going to go too. I mean, effectively, we're going to get tools from the actual creators of the AI search themselves, simply because in order to make money and charge people for the marketing that they want to charge them for, they're going to need to be able to give them attribution and show them it works. So I do think that will be coming for sure. In what form, we'll see.